They are the living dead, our nightmares made out of rotting flesh, and they love brains more than Andrew Zimmer. Zombies have of course been the obsession of almost every aspect of pop culture recently, from television, movies, and graphic literature. I don't really understand what is this morbid fascination with walking corpses who come in droves ready to tear civilization apart with their insatiable hunger. And of course, we have all imagined how inevitably close the zombie apocalypse could be with all the terrifying diseases and pathogens that are being discovered and ones that are being engineered in underground laboratories somewhere on the globe. But for all the fantasy and imagination that we put and invest in our grisly end at the rotting hand of a zombie, we may be overestimating the chances of a zombie apocalypse actually happening in real life. There are, after all, multiple factors to consider to find out just how much of a chance we stand against a wave of attacking undead. So in this video, we're going to talk about 5 reasons why the zombie apocalypse will really just fail before it even starts. Number 5, decomposition. So let's just start with something really blatantly obvious. Zombies are walking corpses, and you know what corpses are really good at? They're really good at decaying over time. So let's assume that a zombie apocalypse did happen, and we are all thrown into mass hysteria and panic because all of a sudden our deceased loved ones are crawling up from the dirt and start knocking on our doors to eat our brains and infect us with the same unknown pathogen that compelled them to come back to life as mindless automations. However, despite the initial wave of horror humanity has to go through for a few days, the problem will pretty much take care of itself. Realistically, it takes 3 full years for a dead body to be reduced to skeletal remains. However, it only takes a few months for decay and putrefaction to take over, even if it's supernaturally moving, and render it immobile as limbs will start falling off one after another. We could pretty much go on with our daily lives with little nuisance from these flesh-eating monsters if we just don't mind the smell. I mean, running away from them won't even be necessary because motor function is going to be the first thing out the window after a few weeks of rotting. Number 4, disease control. Now we have to give medical institutions around the world some credit for doing their jobs and making sure that deadly diseases are contained in the best way possible. Over the course of human history, disease and illness spread like wildfire from one nation to the other up until the advancement of the medical sciences. From the invention of vaccines to the discovery of new treatment for otherwise incurable viruses, medicine and science has saved humanity many times from being completely wiped out. Also, in this age of information, we're pretty much knowledgeable in how diseases spread, whether they're airborne or through bacteria found on suspicious surfaces or transmission from a person with the disease. And we are well aware of the necessary steps in preventing ourselves from being contaminated. And you really got to think about this. How does one get infected from a zombie? Usually through a bite. I mean, we would have to be pretty dull to allow ourselves direct contact with a zombie and get ourselves bitten, since we are a generation that have managed to push smallpox to existence and have eradicated rabies in developed countries. Also, unless they're the World War Z zombies, they move ridiculously slow. And if you're really afraid, go live on an island and just let the sharks take care of the rest. Number 3, climatic conditions and the elements. Placing their rapidly decaying bodies in consideration, a zombie apocalypse would be easily ended by climate conditions. To put it in perspective, a fully grown, well-nourished, healthy human being is still susceptible to the changes in weather conditions. Humans can die from dehydration, from extreme heat, and can be rendered immobile by pneumonia from extreme cold. Basically, if you are a rotting piece of moving flesh, your chances of surviving a drought or a snowstorm is rendered to 0. Also, consider the typical zombie diet, living or rotting flesh from animals or humans, and since their bodies are eating machines and we would assume have no other function to process nutrition, a zombie that is exposed to the elements will have no natural means to fight off any kind of infection or disease because of their lack of antibodies. And under the intense heat of the sun, zombies would turn into dried up pieces of human jerky in a matter of hours. And in climate conditions that reach below 0, frostbite would instantly stop them in their tracks, as bits and pieces of them will start chipping away like fragile teacups. Also, another factor that we seem to have overlooked because of the hype is that as zombies are mindlessly exposed to the elements, so too are they exposed to wildlife, hence the whole shark example. But imagine a zombie incursion in, let's say, Colorado. It won't be long when mountain lions would rip apart a zombie horde without any difficulty. Number 2, Hollywood is on our side. If there is one thing that we can get from what Hollywood has taught us about an impending zombie apocalypse, it's how we can defend ourselves. Let's just say, for instance, that a zombie virus outbreak happens tomorrow, and for the next few weeks, we need to defend ourselves until the military can scramble jets or whatever they need to end the crisis. Now, zombies seem to be pretty easy to subdue, and all you seem to need is a blow to the head with a baseball bat. And if we need to find refuge, we know exactly where to run to. For example, a shopping mall is good enough fortification with enough supplies that could last a long time for anyone. And if you have skills with firearms, chances are you are already taking care of business by eliminating any zombie threat to your home hardcore community. And I think most of us have watched enough zombie movies where it detailed every possible scenario of what to do in every type of zombie apocalypse. You know, residential evil zombies, shoot them in the head. I Am Legend zombies, go to Vermont. World War Z zombies, infect yourself with a disease. Finally, military might. Let's be real here. If a zombie apocalypse does happen, it's gonna be over in a matter of days. I mean, soldiers don't even have to fear the dreaded zombie bite since military gear is so sophisticated that it can shield a soldier from high caliber rounds. You don't think it can shield them from rotting teeth? You think a zombie can chew through a tank? And if we are really paranoid, let's just send some drones and drop some bombs on these zombies. So there you go, guys. There's really no need to fear. We really should be more worried about apes taking over the planet than zombies. But I am the paranoid kind, so if a zombie apocalypse does happen, I'm gonna move to a mountainous region, take a bunch of supplies, and maybe live in an area where you have to kind of climb to reach, and then I'm just gonna sit back and watch the zombies try to go rock climbing, which I feel like will be really entertaining. But let me know what you guys would do in case a zombie apocalypse does happen. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you later.